Hey, happy Thursday, I think it is now. This week's flying by. I am going to go ahead and just jump right into Exodus chapter 4, King James Version, and the Messenger 1 video. And Moses answered and said, But behold, they will not believe me, nor hearken unto my voice. For they will say, The Lord hath not appeared unto thee. And the Lord said unto him, What is that in thine hand? And he said, A rod. And he said, Cast it on the ground. And he cast it on the ground, and it became a serpent. And Moses fled from before it. And the Lord said unto Moses, Put forth thine hand, and take it by the tail. And he put forth his hand and caught it, and it became a rod in his hand, that they may believe that the Lord God of their fathers, the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, the God of Jacob, hath appeared unto thee. And the Lord said furthermore unto him, Put now thine hand into thy bosom. And he put his hand into his bosom, and when he took it out, behold, his hand was leprous as snow. And he said, Put thine hand into thy bosom again. And he put his hand into his bosom again, and plucked it out of his bosom. And behold, it was turned again as his other flesh. And it came to pass, if they will not believe thee, neither hearken to the voice of the first sign, that they will believe the voice of the latter sign. And it shall come to pass, if they will not believe also these two signs, neither hearken unto thy voice, that thou shalt take of the water of the river, and pour it upon the dry land. And the water which thou takest out of the river shall become blood upon the dry land. And Moses said unto the Lord, My Lord, I am not eloquent, neither therefore, nor since thou hast spoken unto thy servant, but I am slow of speech and slow of tongue. And the Lord said unto him, Who hath made man's mouth? Or who maketh the dumb, or deaf, or the seeing, or the blind? Have not I the Lord? Now therefore go, and I will be with thy mouth, and teach thee what thou shalt say. And he said, O my Lord, send, I pray thee, by the hand of him whom thou wilt send. And the anger of the Lord was kindled against Moses, and he said, Is not Aaron the Levite thy brother? I know that he can speak well. And also, behold, he cometh forth to meet thee, and when he see thee, he will be glad in his heart. And thou shalt speak unto him, and put words in his mouth. And I will be with thy mouth, and with his mouth, and will teach you what you shall do. And he shall be thy spokesman unto the people, and he shall be, even he shall be to thee instead of a mouth, and thou shalt be to him instead of God. And thou shalt take this rod in thine hand, wherewith thou shalt do signs. And Moses went and returned to Jethro his father-in-law, and said unto him, Let me go, I pray thee, and return unto my brethren which are in Egypt, and see whether they be yet alive. And Jethro said to Moses, Go in peace. And the Lord said unto Moses in Midian, Go, return into Egypt, for all the men are dead which sought thy life. And Moses took his wife and his sons and set them upon an ass, and he returned to the land of Egypt. And Moses took the rod of the hand of God, and Moses took the rod of God in his hand. And the Lord said unto Moses, When thou goest and return unto Egypt, see that thou do all those wonders before Pharaoh, which I have put in thine hand, but I will harden his heart, that he shall not let the people go. And thou shalt say unto Pharaoh, This saith the Lord, Israel is my son, even my firstborn. And I say unto thee, Let my son go, that he may serve me. And if thou refuse to let him go, behold, I will slay thy son, even thy firstborn. And it came to pass by the way in the end that the Lord met him and sought to kill him. Then Zipporah took a sharp stone and cut off the foreskin of her son and cast it at his feet, and said, Surely a bloody husband art thou to me. So he let him go, and she said, A bloody husband thou art because of the circumcision. And the Lord said to Aaron, Go into the wilderness to meet Moses. And he went and met him in the mount of God and kissed him. And Moses told Aaron all the words of the Lord who had sent him, and all the signs which he had commanded him. And Moses and Aaron went and gathered together all the elders of the children of Israel, and Aaron spake all the words which the Lord had spoken unto Moses, and did the signs in the sight of the people. And the people believed. And when they heard that the Lord had visited the children of Israel, and that he had looked upon their affliction, then they bowed their heads and worshipped. I'm going to go right into the Message version right now. Moses objected. They won't trust me. They won't listen to a word I say. They're going to say, God, appear to him? Hardly. So God said, What's that in your hand? A staff? Throw it on the ground. And he threw it. He became a snake. It became a snake. Moses jumped back fast. God said to Moses, Reach out and grab it by the tail. He reached out and grabbed it, and he was holding his staff again. That's so they will trust that God appeared unto you, the God of their fathers, the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, the God of Jacob. Then God said, Put your hand inside your shirt. And he slipped his hand under his shirt and took it out. His hand had turned leprous, like snow. He said, Put your hand back under your shirt. He did it, then took it back out, as healthy as before. So, if they don't trust you and aren't convinced by the first sign, the second sign should do it. But if it doesn't, even after these two signs, they won't trust you and listen to your message. Take some water out of the Nile and pour it out on dry land. The Nile water that you pour out will turn to blood when it hits the ground. Moses raised another objection to God. Master, please, I don't talk well. I've never been good with words, neither before nor after you spake to me. I stutter and stammer. God said, And who do you think made the human mouth? And who makes some mute, some deaf, some sighted, some blind? Isn't it I, God? So get going. I'll be right there with you, with your mouth. I'll be right there to teach you what to say. And he said, Oh, Master, please send somebody else. And God got angry with Moses. Don't you have a brother, Aaron the Levite? It's good with words. I know he is. He speaks very well. In fact, at this very moment, he's on his way to meet you. When he sees you, he's going to be glad. You'll speak to him and tell him what to say. I'll be right there with you as you speak and tell him as he speaks, teaching you step by step. I will teach you. I will speak to the people for you. He'll act as your mouth, but you'll decide what comes out of it. Now, take this staff in your hand. You'll use it to do signs. Moses went back to Jethro's father-in-law and said, I need to return to my relatives who are in Egypt. I want to see if they're still alive. Jethro said, Go, and peace be with you. God said to Moses in Midian, Go, return to Egypt. All the men who wanted to kill you are dead. So Moses took his wife and sons and put them on a donkey for the return trip to Egypt. He had a firm grip on the staff of God. God said to Moses, When you get back to Egypt, be prepared. All the wonders that I will do through you, you'll do before Pharaoh. But I will make him stubborn so that he will refuse to let the people go. Then you are to tell Pharaoh God's message. Israel is my son, my firstborn. I told you, flee my son, free my son so that he can serve me. But you refused to free him. So now I'm going to kill your son, your firstborn. On the journey back, as they camped for the night, God met Moses and would have killed him, but Zipporah took a flint knife and cut off her son's foreskin and touched Moses' member with it. She said, Oh, you're a bridegroom of blood to me. Then God let him go. She used the phrase bridegroom of blood because of circumcision. God spoke to Aaron, Go meet Moses in the wilderness. He went and met with him at the mountain of God and kissed him. Moses told Aaron the message that God had sent him to speak and the wonders he commanded him to do. So Moses and Aaron proceeded to round up all the leaders of Israel. Aaron told them everything that God had told Moses and demonstrated the wonders before the people, and the people trusted and listened believingly that God was concerned with what was going on with the Israelites and knew all about their affliction. They bowed low and they worshipped. Okay, there's a few things in here that I don't think I quite understand, and I'm probably going to have to do some further research on. But I just like at the start of this, at the start of the book of Exodus, God is heavily involved. He's heavily involved in this entire book. I just love the Old Testament for this reason, because he's just his character. It's through the entire Bible, but he's just really active with the people here, just as this Lord, this creator. He's just really digging his hands into the world and the people in it. And so I just really like how involved he is and the steps that he's taking in order to rescue his people, his chosen people. And he's very patient, as always, like he was in Genesis. If you remember Abraham going before Sodom and Gomorrah was destroyed. Abraham's like, what if there's 50 people? What if there's 40? What if there's 10? You know, forgive me for trying your patience. And God is just so like, if there isn't, then I won't. You know, if there's only 20, then I won't. It's just very sweet and very patient, because we're ridiculous in the way that we talk. And even here, I can understand the human nature of Moses not being confident in this. I mean, he's not choosing to be this representative. He's not choosing to be this person to go back and basically be used to kickstart this exile, or this mass exodus, so to speak. So you can see how patient God is, but I can also see the human nature of Moses, and just, anyone in this type of position would probably be even less tolerant or just understanding. But even then, he's trying to get out of it, He doesn't want to be the one to do it. But he's the chosen one. He was spared. His life was spared just from his birth and down the Nile in that basket. It was all for such a time as this, for him to be used for this. And, it's the reason why he was born, was to be this, to play this role. So I just think it's really interesting. I mean, honestly, God makes it sound so easy, and maybe it is, but when you're a human and you're in the flesh, it can be so difficult to trust, because we like to put God in this box like he's a human being, and he will be like human beings are, and treat us like how we've been treated in this world. And, well, human beings, we just really take a lot of time out and hurting each other because of our selfish and fleshy ways, worldly ways. And that can leave a scar. I mean, Moses has already been through a lot. He wasn't raised with his family. His people are being persecuted. He could have died as a baby, and he murdered someone in the plight of his people, trying to rescue someone of his own people from being abused. And then he had to flee for all this time, and he's trying to move on and live his life, and with his wife and son, it's just a lot going on. He's been through a lot since his birth. So I can empathize with him and why he is this way. He's been traumatized quite a bit. And, God is just speaking so simply, and it just makes me think of us now, how we get so traumatized and scarred by our lives in this world, and how other people are toward us, or just the events of our lives, that it gets really hard to trust people, or just believe in things and have hope and have faith and have the core self, your core self, which is really like the child version of yourself, is like that natural child way about yourself, that character that you had before all the taintedness of the world. That's who we really all are, is that whatever that was. And I mean, Jesus says it too, like, be like a child, that's the only way you're going to get into heaven, is if you're like, these children here. And it's like, we have to strip off all the stuff that the world has done to us, or that we've allowed the world to do to us, or just things that just happened, through life, based on just us being in this world together and having to interact with each other. And you have to be able to strip off all that trauma and all that hurt and pain and things and experiences that helped shape you into someone who is more closed off and not believing. If this makes any sense, I get along really well with children. I work with children, and a big part of the reason why I get along so well with them is because a big part of me is like a kid. I guess in a way I'm like a big kid in many ways, and not typically like in terms of maturity. I think I have quite a grasp on maturity, but I think there's like a purity or something in me, or some people think it's like a naive nature or something. I wouldn't even call it that, but that's kind of close to what it is like there's just a purity in me. And I don't say this as a flex or something, because it can get me into a lot of trouble being this way. There's just so much evil and things that I to this day cannot conceive of or understand. Even some evils that have been done to me, most of it that's been done to me, I cannot make rhyme or reason of it, because I just don't have that in my heart to do that to someone, let alone to understand why someone has done it to me. And whatever that is, I like to think of it as my child self that just lived through all of the trauma and all the things that the trials and challenges of my life. That version of myself has lived, survived that little Rose, that little version of me. she survived despite everything that's happened. I can't even say that I feel like whatever my age is. I just feel like a person, a human being. I feel like an adult for sure, but I don't really know what age is at this point when it comes to once you're an adult. I can conceive of age as for children and teenagers and maybe like very young adults, like coming out of high school or something, but at some point, like around your mid-20s and up, it's like I just kind of stopped caring or stopped looking. I don't really know how to explain it, because there's like a core version of yourself at that point, and so many people let that die, or the experiences of life have caused it to die. Or they had to create this mask or a shell of their, a shell or wall or something in order to protect themselves, and it's like not their true selves. And I can say I've tried to do that, but I can't do that. I just can't master that. So the best way that I can be, and God has confirmed it in me, is just to be me, myself, and the real version of myself, without bitterness or hurt from whatever I've experienced that was negative. That you don't have to let it turn you into someone that turn sour because of all this. And it doesn't mean that the things I went through didn't hurt me, or that I still don't experience some of the residue, I guess, or whatever you want to call it. Like, I still have some trauma and stuff that I deal with from certain things that have happened in my life from others. But I don't want that to be the dictating factor of what kind of character I am to other people. I hope that makes sense, because I'm just going on and on now. I was on the train today, and there was a lady. She was like looking at me behind, thinking that I'm spying on her or something. I'm just sitting on the train, and she's cursing me out eventually. I'm going to tell you one more time and all these things. And it was just like, obviously she wasn't mentally well. At first, I didn't understand it at first, because I was listening to music with my headphones on like this, and I took it out and I went, excuse me? Like, I wasn't sure what she was saying to me at first. Maybe she was asking for directions or something. And for me, like, yeah, I am that naive that I don't necessarily will ignore a person that I don't know if I can see them in my peripheral looking at me and things like that. Gets me into trouble. As you can see, I took it out and I was trying to, excuse me, and she was just so upset, calling me all kinds of things and saying that my outfit is like a $10, $20 outfit and I look like a cheap this and that and whatever. Eventually, very quickly, I learned that something was wrong, and I just said, God bless you, to her over and over. But I guess she felt the demons in her must have felt threatened. She definitely had demons in her. And I felt bad because, and she was laughing and the demons were laughing. It was just like I immediately, eventually I understood what was going on. I'm in a spiritual battle, and of course, people who have demons in them, I get attacked sometimes by them, because I guess I'm with God, and the demons can see that. But I was looking at this more or less like, at the time earlier, I was looking at it like she's been through some things. She's someone who's definitely is hurting, needs God, and I just sat there on the train and I just said some really good prayers to her, for her to come out of that. And even if you don't see it happening, you're speaking in the name of Jesus Christ or Yahushua HaMashiach, you're speaking God's name, and you're not seeing the demons come out. There's so many different ways of which this happens anyway. But I always imagine, and I did imagine this today, is that I just set the stage, that things are shifting around in the spiritual world, and God's moving things, and he's going to help her, because she's in a lot of pain, and that pain and whatever she got herself into to numb her pain, which is probably some worldly stuff that wasn't good, that opened portals for demons that are in her, causing her to act like this on a train toward a stranger that doesn't even know her, that hasn't done anything to her. Anyway, I say all this stuff to say, because I'm getting really off track, but there's like a child version of yourself that it's hard to hang on to that. And I thank God somehow I was able to, even when I wasn't in a very deep relationship with God, he allowed me to have that gift to stay in a childlike mode or something. Like there's a pure state of mind and heart that I have, and I'm glad and I'm grateful to have it, instead of having this hardened heart. And he mentions it here. But having a childlike heart also helps you be able to trust and believe in God so much more than you would being hardened by the world and having walls up or being inhabited, by demons, because you seeking other things outside of God to find comfort in your circumstances. And that's very difficult to do, because I've already mentioned before that I've tried to find comfort in other things in my past. Like, I used to drink. I wasn't like one of the worst alcoholics on the planet, It wasn't anything like that, but for me it was pretty bad. I don't drink at all nowadays, but I did drink. I did have a time in my life where I would drink alcohol, and it was because I was trying to numb some of the trauma and things that happened to me, but it didn't do anything but hurt me more and leave me susceptible to things. I'm getting off track, though. There's a part in here in this chapter 4 where God says he's going to harden Pharaoh's heart, which is, he's not going to want to let the people go of Israel. And there's a lot going on here that leaves so many questions for me. Why is he hardening his heart? Or does he mean that he's actively hardening his heart? Or is he talking about the fact that Pharaoh's heart gets hard because he doesn't want to let these people go for some reason? That's just something to him that would make him feel cheated or something. They've been spending this time, and the Pharaoh before him was spending this time persecuting these people, and to just let them go free, especially when they've become some valuable asset to them. And they're probably getting blessed through all these Israelites' work, because God said that blessings come forth from these people. And it would just be something to just let them go after all this time. I don't know if his heart is being hard because he doesn't want to let go of the advantage that he has, as opposed to God just actively hardening his heart, going, using his righteous right hand and going, get a hard heart. I'm not really sure, but to me, it kind of navigates to me at the moment, and it might be different when I read through this again another time. But it just seems like his heart is hardened because it's like he's spiteful about just letting them go and be free. And he just doesn't want to let it be like that. Like, he just wants to be able to have the control or something, despite what God is saying. It kind of reminds me of people in today's time. You tell them about God and things, and you're real kind to them and whatnot, but it just seems to make them more angry because you're talking about God and you're kind, despite, whatever abusive behavior they're trying to display to you. It seems to make them even more hateful. That's kind of what this harden of heart sounds like to me, is some scenario like that. The foreskin part is really interesting as well. Right before that, it says, I'm going to the King James Version. I'm going to try to find it really fast so that I don't waste time. It says, Exodus chapter 4, verse 22, and I'm just going to read a few more verses after that. So this is verse 22 and onward, a few more verses. And thou shalt say unto Pharaoh, Thus saith the Lord, Israel is my son, even my firstborn. And I say unto thee, Let my son go, that he may serve me. And if thou refuse to let him go, behold, I will slay thy son, even thy firstborn. And it came to pass by the way of the end that the Lord met him and sought to kill him. Then Zipporah took a sharp stone and cut off the foreskin of her son, and cast it at his feet, and said, Surely a bloody husband art thou to me. So he let him go. Then She said, a bloody husband thou art because of circumcision. That part kind of confuses me, I'm not going to lie. I don't really understand. Sorry, I'm just looking up one more part. Because I'm not really understanding. There's some kind of correlation between verse 22 all the way to 26, where he's talking about the Lord is saying, I say unto thee, let my son go, that he may serve me. And if thou refuse to let him go, behold, I will slay thy son, even thy firstborn. He says he's saying this to Pharaoh. But, I mean, and you'll see this later in Exodus as well, even though there's this blunt attack and targeting Pharaoh, there's going to be many of those. It's also kind of radiates out to anyone that's in the vicinity. And I'm like looking it up right now on Google just to kind of get a better mindset, because there's some kind of correlation between him saying that, God saying that about the firstborn and taking him, and Moses' son, which his wife has to circumcise him quickly in order to save his life. And it's something to do with the firstborn son. Like, it seems like Moses is not exempt. This standard is not just being held for Pharaoh. It's like God is holding this standard for anyone in this land that is like this. Now, I may be looking too deep into that, but I mean, this is kind of what Bible study is about. Is like trying to understand things more. God, understand him and his ways more. There seems to be some kind of a fairness happening here. He's not discriminating against others. He is ready to take Moses' son as they were, entering Egypt, apparently. Let's see. This is what I found on Google. Let me see. I'm not going to take too much time out because I don't really like looking this stuff up like this in the middle of a Bible study, but it's just the curiosity really has me. Yeah, something about the son not being circumcised, this being this law for the Israelites. Like, they usually circumcise on the 7th or 8th day. And his wife Sephora and her family, they're Ethiopians. They are not living by this way. They're not living by the ways of God. But because of Moses being of the Levite people, of the Israelites, it's like he's being held, his family is being held to this standard. And God is not going to discriminate just because he's asking Moses to go and do this task of being used to help to liberate the Israelites. There's still a standard that's being held here anyway. I'm not sure though. It looks like, yeah, I'm not really sure. So I would love to hear what anyone else has to say about this, because there's just so many questions. Is he trying to take Moses' life, or is he trying to take the firstborn son's life, because the son is the one that was circumcised? I think he's trying to take Moses' life. And his wife stepped in, circumcised the son in order to save him. Save her husband. I'm not really sure. I don't really understand. I'm trying so hard. You guys are watching me right now, like doing an active live Bible study, like really trying to understand a few verses that I don't right now. And I would love to hear anyone's opinion on this because it is confusing to me. I'm trying so hard and I want to understand it. And I'm probably going to be looking up stuff after I get out of this, finish making this video. And well, I would love to hear anybody else's thoughts on this. I know it definitely has something to do with the fact that he's being held to the same standards as the other Israelites. But I feel like verse 22 and 23 go alongside verse 24, 25, 26. I mean, they're right next to each other, and he's talking about slaying your son, and then there's something about all that that's connected. I just don't really truly understand. I don't quite get it. I just know that there's a standard being held here, and Moses wasn't living up to it in some way, maybe through his children being uncircumcised, that what God had said has to come to pass. He's going to slay you. He's going to kill you. He just said, and he can't go back on his word. And I don't know. I'm not really sure, though. I can't really quite understand the details of this. Yeah, it looks like Moses would have died. Looks like God came to Moses to kill him when they were camping out on their way back to Egypt. And I'm trying so hard to figure this out, and I don't think I'm going to quite do it here on this video. But it seems like he met with Moses to kill him. Because his son wasn't circumcised. And his wife came immediately, took a stone, and cut it off. Threw it at his feet. Yeah, I don't really quite understand. I'm fascinated, though. It's very interesting because, I mean, first of all, Moses couldn't die. I mean, God could probably use somebody else, I'm sure, but he's chosen Moses. So obviously Moses was the one that was meant to do it, and that meant that this circumcision was meant to happen in this way. But yeah, I don't know. It just seems like this whole big dramatic climactic moment there, just out of nowhere. And I'm very fascinated by it, but I don't quite understand. I don't quite understand in a way that I wish that I did right now, which is why I've wasted, maybe not wasted, but maybe I'm putting this question out here for someone else to write below, because maybe there's others who have read this and have also found it a little bit confusing to understand the purpose of it being here in this way. I see little bits and pieces, but I don't understand the correlation of, there's something missing that I'm not quite grasping about this that I would love to know. So please, leave comments if you have figured this out and can elaborate more. I'm going to be researching this after, so. Yeah. Maybe what I said is basically it, but I just feel like there's something missing. Anyway, I'm going to move on because this video is already going longer and longer, and he does meet up with Aaron. I mean, God's already predicting everything that's going to happen at this point. He's telling him everything before it happens, which he seems to do with a lot of people that walk with him. He tells you ahead of time what's going on. And it'd be really great, if we could get that these days. And I think the version of that we get in most cases is he'll tell us in real time, like through other people or through his word and things. Mostly through his word, for sure. You'll learn a lot about what's going to happen in your life or how to handle certain things that's coming your way, but it must be something right here to audibly hear him speaking to you and guiding you word for word. But I think the Holy Ghost is like a kind of a version of that now that we have, where things in our spirit will speak to us or give us the discernment or guide us or give us even the right words to speak at the right time. There's a few other verses, especially in the New Testament, where Jesus is kind of, I think, talking about that, having the right words given to you by the Holy Spirit, or having the right words at the right time, given by God, where you don't have to worry about what to say. I think maybe God says that, not even Jesus. I think God says it somewhere. I mean, we're going to eventually get to that part anyway, somewhere in this book. But I'm rambling on at this point. So Moses is back in Egypt with his family, and he's regrouped with his brother, the elders, and he's showing them the wonders. He's got his brother as a translator so that he can't make any more excuses to get out of this. And they're about to get involved, in a mass exodus. He's gaining their trust and their faith that God heard their cries and he's going to get them out. And so I'm sure in so many ways that's so relieving for these people to hear that God is here and he's going to deliver them. And it probably is a little scary too, but God is constantly telling them what's going to happen. He's constantly telling them that he's going to be with them, even down to the words that they say. So, nowadays, God is still the same. He doesn't change. He's going to be with his children that follow him. And you don't have to be, an Israelite at this point to have that type of relationship with God. And it can be hard to trust, especially, like I said, based on the things that happen to a lot of us in this world. We seem to lose that childlike self of us, the real, true, pure version of ourselves that makes it hard to trust because we've had these crazy experiences. But you've got to somehow find a way to come out of that and be able to give your trust to God, because he said it best, he's not a man that he should lie, and he's talking about he's not human that he should lie. And he's not going to do you like how you've been done by this world. And it's you got to somehow renew your mind, like deprogram it, but he calls it renewing your mind. You have to somehow come out of that and start gaining your relationship with him and let him show you like what it's all about through his word and through walking in his ways and his laws, carrying your cross down that narrow path. It's not easy, but he'll help you. And through that, you can let go of all that stuff of the world that seem to harden your heart, that makes it difficult to be the person he created you to be, which is not somebody who's scared and got all these walls up or has bitterness or who's traumatized or worried. There's just so much more to life, So I say that all to say, I hope that you enjoyed this reading of Exodus chapter 4. We're going to move on to chapter 5 tomorrow. And I really appreciate you guys for watching and reading with me. I just pray that you got some things out of this. As you can see, I am also just confused about certain things in this chapter. And, there's so many people who read these chapters and it makes more sense to them. Certain things that doesn't make any sense or I find challenging to truly, fully understand. So I'm hoping that maybe you can shed some light for me in some ways when it comes to that. That's just basically what reading God's word and the Bible and stuff is all about. It's about understanding God's ways and understanding who he is and understanding these stories that he's sharing with us of these people's lives and the importance of it. So I'm going to let you guys go. I appreciate you for sticking around, and I've got to do some writing on my blog. I've missed a day or two, or at least I haven't published them yet, and I've got to get around to doing that. So I apologize about my blog kind of lagging behind a bit. It's been a busy few days, and I haven't been able to publish. They're just kind of sitting there as drafts, so you'll see them pop up today and probably the early part of tomorrow if you're interested in visiting my website. If not, then I'll see you back here tomorrow in Exodus chapter 5, and we'll see what Moses and his brothers and the elders and everybody and God will do. We already know a little bit about what's going to happen because God has already told them, and so you got to believe that it's going to happen because God said so. It's going to be. So I'll see you tomorrow, and I love you guys. I pray many, 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 many blessings over you, and I love you guys. God bless you.